Imagine for a second that I walked up to you, maybe we're getting coffee, and I offered you a pill.
Okay.
And I told you with absolute certainty that if you took this pill right now, you could reduce that overwhelming feeling of anxiety or that burning sense of anger by 50%. 50%. And here is the kicker. It works almost instantly. You don't have to wait 2 weeks for it to build up in your system like an SSRI. You take it, and boom, relief.
Right.
You'd probably think I was trying to sell you something illegal, or at the very least, snake oil. Right.
I would certainly ask to see the ingredients list.
Yeah.
It sounds way too good to be true.
Right.
Usually when someone promises a 50% reduction in anything emotional that fast, there's a catch. It sounds like a infomercial pitch.
Exactly. We're conditioned to think that changing how we feel is this, long, arduous process. We think it requires years of therapy or a complete lifestyle overhaul. But here's the thing, and this is what we are unpacking today. That pill isn't a pharmaceutical. It isn't a supplement. It isn't even meditation, strictly speaking, although there are parallels there.
Okay.
It is literally just words. Specifically, the act of saying a few very specific words out loud.
That's right. And before anyone rolls their eyes and thinks we are about to dive into positive affirmations or manifesting or just, telling yourself to be happy, let me stop you right there.
Yeah, this isn't that.
This is not that. We aren't talking about magic. We aren't talking about the law of attraction.
Yeah.
We are talking about hard neuroscience. We are looking at a biological mechanism in the human brain that acts almost like a physical brake pedal for emotional intensity.
So today we are digging into some fascinating research centering on a pivotal 2007 study from UCLA and some really insightful analysis from the Lounge blog. And the headline claim is startling, and honestly, it made me skeptical at first. The claim is, naming your emotions reduces anxiety by up to 50%, not 5%, 50.
50.
That is a massive chunk of distress, just gone.
It is a massive number.
Yeah.
And what's so compelling about the source material we have today is that it explains the mechanics of why that happened.
Great, the how.
It's a technique called effect labeling.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's arguably one of the most efficient biohacks for mental health that exists, yet most people have never heard the term.
I hadn't.
No, and they do it accidentally sometimes, like when you vent to a friend and suddenly feel lighter, but they don't know it's a formalized system, or, more importantly, why it works.
I certainly hadn't. Or at least I hadn't thought of it as a formal technique. Because, let's be real, how do we normally handle difficult emotions? If I'm feeling super stressed or angry, my default isn't usually to announce it to the room.
No.
I usually clam up, I go internal.
No, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
The sources point out that the standard approach usually falls into 3 buckets, and almost all of us are operating in one of these zones. Bucket 1, we try to think our way out of it. We rationalize. We debate with ourselves. We try to solve the emotion like it's a math problem. Why do I feel this? I shouldn't feel this. If I just analyze it enough, it will go away.
Which usually just leads to more overthinking.
Precisely. Bucket 2 is distraction. We scroll through social media. We binge watch TV. We play video games. We basically try to pretend the feeling isn't there by drowning it out with noise.
Guilty on all counts, especially the doom scrolling. It feels like if I just look at enough memes or read enough news, the anxiety will get bored and leave.
Right.
But it usually just hums in the background, doesn't it?
Right. It's avoidance. You aren't processing the signal. You're just putting the phone off the hook.
Yeah.
And the third bucket is suppression. We just shove it down, clench our jaw, and try to white-knuckle our way through the day. We say, I'm fine, while our blood pressure is through the roof. The issue is, according to the neuroscience we're looking at today, all of those methods are biologically inefficient. They consume massive amounts of glucose in the brain, they fatigue you, and most importantly, they don't actually change the state of the alarm system.
Okay.
What we are discussing today, effect labeling, is a direct path to changing the brain chemistry.
So our mission today is pretty clear. We want to explain exactly why saying I feel anxious changes the way your brain is firing, literally, physically changing blood flow patterns inside your skull.
Yes.
And perhaps more importantly, we need to teach you the specific method to do it, because apparently there is a right way and a wrong way.
Oh, there is. If you do it wrong, you end up in a spiral of rumination, which actually makes the feeling worse.
And if you do it right.
If you do it right, you get that 50% reduction.
Okay, let's get into the science. Take us back to 2007, UCLA. This is the study that really put this concept on the map. What exactly did they do? Because psychological studies can sometimes be a bit abstract.
So this research was led by a psychologist named Matthew Lieberman. He's a heavyweight in the field of social cognitive neuroscience. And to understand why this matters, you have to visualize the setting.
Okay.
This wasn't just people filling out questionnaires in a quiet room with a clipboard. They placed participants inside fMRI machines, functional magnetic resonance imaging scanners.
Which are those giant, loud, claustrophobic tubes that look like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Exactly. And the magic of fMRI is that it measures blood flow in the brain in real time. Brain cells need oxygen to fire. So if a specific part of your brain starts working hard, blood rushes to that area to refuel it.
Right.
The scanner picks up that rush of oxygenated blood. It's like watching a heat map of brain activity as it happens.
So they can literally see which parts of the brain are lighting up and which parts are going dark.
Correct. So in the experiment, they showed these participants images of faces expressing very strong, very harsh emotions.
Angry faces, scared faces.
Angry faces, fearful faces. Now, biologically, humans are wired to react to this. It's evolutionary. When you see a fearful face, your brain perceives a potential threat. If I see you looking terrified, my brain assumes there is a saber-toothed tiger standing behind me.
It's contagious. Emotional contagion is a real thing. If I see you looking terrified, I immediately wonder what's wrong and my heart rate spikes.
Precisely. So in the control group, when participants just looked at the faces without doing anything else, the fMRI showed massive activation in the amygdala.
Okay, left pause on the amygdala for a second. We hear this term thrown around in every pop psych article, amygdala hijack. Calm your amygdala. But functionally, in this context, what is it doing?
Think of the amygdala as the brain's smoke detector.
Okay.
It's a small almond-shaped structure deep in the brain. It is primitive, it's reactive, and it is incredibly fast. It bypasses your conscious thought.
So it's the first responder.
It is the first responder.
Yeah.
Its job is to detect threats and get you ready to fight or flee before you even know what you're looking at. So seeing those angry faces sets off the alarm bells. High amygdala activity equals high stress, high anxiety, high emotional arousal. The body is flooding with cortisol and adrenaline.
Okay, so the participants are lying in the tube, looking at angry faces, and their amygdalas are lighting up like Christmas trees. They are stressed. Then what?
Then they introduced the variable. They asked the participants to simply label the emotion they were seeing.
That's it.
They had to put it into words. They had to choose a word like angry or fearful to match the face, or say, I feel anxious looking at this.
Just naming it. They didn't have to meditate on it or breathe through it or try to reinterpret the face.
Just the naming. And the result was immediate and physical. As soon as they verbally labeled the feeling, the activity in the amygdala decreased significantly.
Wow.
That's where we get that up to 50% figure. The alarm bell got quieter. But, and here's where it gets really interesting, at the exact same moment, the amygdala quieted down, another part of the brain lit up.
It transferred the energy.
Exactly. The fMRI showed a surge of activity in the right ventrolateral prefrontal cortex.
Okay, that's a mouthful. Let's just call it the prefrontal cortex.
I'll take the prefrontal cortex for simplicity. This is the thinking part of the brain, located right behind your forehead.
To CEO.
It's the CEO. It handles logic, regulation, impulse control, language, and planning. It's the thoughtful adult part of your brain, as opposed to the toddler-like reactivity of the amygdala.
So it's almost like a seesaw. When one goes up, the other has to come down.
That is the perfect analogy. The study showed an inverse relationship. When the prefrontal cortex wakes up and gets involved, the amygdala calms down. This is actually a mechanism known as inhibition.
Okay.
The prefrontal cortex sends inhibitory signals to the amygdala. But there's also a resource management issue. You cannot have both running at maximum capacity simultaneously in this context. The brain has a limited energy supply.
Right.
By simply naming the emotion, you are forcing the brain to switch gears. You are moving the processing of that data from the emotional center to the thinking center.
That is profound, because it implies that the act of naming isn't just describing the feeling. It's actively transporting it. It's moving the furniture from one room to another.
Precisely. The source material puts it this way. Naming the emotion doesn't suppress it. Suppression is trying to hide the furniture.
Yeah.
Affect labeling transforms how the brain handles the data. You aren't making the emotion go away. You are changing the neural pathway used to process it. You are taking a raw, chaotic signal, which is just pure noise, to the amygdala and turning it into a structured piece of information that the prefrontal cortex can manage.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate here, and I know the listener is asking this too. Does it really have to be out loud?
Yes.
Because I can think, I am anxious, in my head all day long. In fact, usually when I'm anxious, that I guess what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, oh God, I'm so anxious. This is terrible. Why is speaking it different? Is there really a difference between the internal monologue and the spoken word?
This is a crucial distinction that the Lound blog source dives into deeply. And the short answer is yes. Speaking it out loud is significantly better than just thinking it.
Really?
In fact, thinking it might not work at all, and in some cases, thinking about it keeps the loop going.
Why? That seems counterintuitive. A thought is a thought. Why does the vibration of air in my throat change the brain chemistry?
Because thinking I am anxious often isn't actually labeling. It's usually just immersing yourself in the feeling. But when you speak, you trigger what researchers call implicit emotion regulation. It's about the sheer number of brain systems you have to bring online to produce speech. It's a heavy lift for the brain.
Break that down for me. What systems are we talking about?
Well, think about the physical act of speaking. It seems effortless to us because we do it all day, but neurologically it's complex. First, you have the motor speech areas.
Okay.
You have to physically coordinate your diaphragm, your lungs, your tongue, your lips, and your vocal cords to form words. That requires motor cortex activation.
Okay, so you're recruiting the physical body. You're making it a physical task.
Right. Then you have auditory processing. You actually hear your own voice. This creates a feedback loop. You become a witness to your own experience. It externalizes the feeling. It's no longer just in here, inside the head. It's out there in the room.
That makes sense. It's like when you have a song stuck in your head and it plays on a loop, but if you sing it out loud, it sometimes breaks the loop.
Exactly. Then you have the language centers, specifically Broca's area and Wernicke's area. You have to translate a vague, nebulous cloud of feeling, which is nonverbal, into a precise symbolic code, which is language.
That takes work.
That translation process is cognitive. It requires analysis. And finally, the executive control networks have to manage all of the sequencing.
Wow. So internal reflection, just sitting there stewing in it, is like a single dirt road in the brain. But speaking it out loud is like opening up a superhighway with 4 different lanes of traffic.
That's a great way to put it. When you think silently, you can loop. You can get stuck in the mud. But speech is linear. You have to start a sentence and end a sentence. It forces structure onto the chaos. The source notes that this multi-system engagement initiates regulation automatically. You don't have to try to calm down. The act of engaging the language and motor centers is the calming mechanism.
It's almost like you're distracting the brain with a task, but the task is relevant to the problem.
In a way, yes. You're recruiting resources from the prefrontal cortex to formulate speech, which naturally steals energy away from the amygdala's panic party.
Chuckles. The panic party.
The brain says, oh, we're talking now. Okay, divert power to the speech centers, and the amygdala loses its fuel.
The amygdala's panic party is definitely the name of my next band. Okay, so we know we need to say it out loud, but I mentioned earlier there's a trap. A lot of people worry that if they start talking at their anxiety or their anger, they're just going to make it worse. They think if I give it attention, won't it grow? If I talk about how sad I am, won't I just cry more?
This is the #1 objection I hear. And it's a valid fear. If you stare at a problem, it usually looks bigger. But this brings us to the difference between affect labeling and rumination.
Okay.
Because they are not the same thing. They are worlds apart.
Define the difference for us, because they sound dangerously similar. If I'm walking around saying, I'm anxious, how is that not rumination?
They feel similar, but neurologically they are opposites. Rumination is what most of us do by default. Rumination is abstract and circular. It focuses on the why and the meaning.
Give me an example of rumination so we can really spot it.
Rumination sounds like this. Why do I feel this way? What does this mean about me? Why am I always like this? Should I be feeling this? This is going to ruin my day. What if this never goes away? Why did she say that to me? Was it because I'm inadequate?
Oh, God, yeah.
See how it's all questions. It's analyzing the meaning and the cause. It's future tripping or past dwelling.
It's chasing your tail. It's looking for a solution in the problem itself. It's digging a hole to get out of a hole.
Exactly. It cycles endlessly. It doesn't have a destination. Affect labeling, on the other hand, is specific and present-focused. It focuses on the what and the now.
So what does that sound like?
It sounds like I feel overwhelmed. I am experiencing frustration. This is disappointment. It's a statement of fact. It's data entry.
It's almost colder or more clinical.
It's observational. That's the key. Think of it this way. Rumination is swimming in the river, getting tossed around by the rapids and drowning in the current.
Right.
Affect labeling is climbing out, sitting on the bank and watching the river flow by. You say, look, the water is turbulent right there. You're describing the water. You aren't swallowing it.
I like that.
The goal isn't to analyze the feeling or solve the feeling. The goal is simply to acknowledge its existence in the present moment.
I like that distinction. Rumination is why. Labeling is what?
Yes. And the source emphasizes. Affect labeling move you forward. Rumination keeps you stuck. So if you find yourself asking, why did he say that? Why am I so sensitive?
Yeah.
You've left the realm of labeling and entered the realm of rumination.
Okay.
You have to catch yourself, stop, reset, and just name the what.
That's a really helpful red flag to watch out for. The word why is the enemy in this specific context.
In the moment of high emotion, yes. Why is for therapy next week when you're calm? What is for regulation right now when you're triggered?
Okay, so let's get practical. The source material gives us a very specific 3-step method to doing this effectively. We don't just want to walk around shouting angry at random intervals.
Jackals, right.
That might be cathartic. It might also alienate your coworkers. Walk us through step 1.
Step 1 is simple naming. This is for when you are just starting out or when the emotion is really intense. You just want to identify the core emotion.
Keep it basic.
Right. I feel anxious. I'm angry. This is sadness. I feel overwhelmed. The rule here, and this is strict, is no justification and no analysis.
So not, I'm angry because my boss is a jerk and traffic was bad and I didn't get enough sleep.
Correct. As soon as you add the because, you are risking rumination. You are engaging the story, not the feeling. We want to regulate the biology first. The story is what got you upset in the first place. Retelling it won't calm you down. It just reinforces the neural pathway of the anger.
That is really hard to do. We love our stories. We want to be justified in our anger. We want to prosecute the case in our heads.
We do. We feel like if we drop the story, we are invalidating the reason. But the amygdala reacts to the story. If you tell the story again, you re-trigger the alarm.
Right.
If you just say, I am angry, you are handling the data. Just, I am angry, period. It's an incredibly disciplined act.
Okay. Simple naming. I feel anxious. Got it.
What's step 2?
Step 2 is granularity. This is where we start to flex that prefrontal cortex a bit more. Research shows that the more precise you are with your language, the stronger the regulatory effect.
So you're getting specific.
This is about emotional literacy.
So I feel bad isn't good enough.
Yeah.
I feel bad is vague. It gives your brain very little information to work with. It's a blurry picture. Most adults actually have a pretty limited emotional vocabulary. We stick to mad, sad, bad, and glad. But if you can drill down, instead of bad, maybe it's, I feel disappointed that this didn't work out. Instead of mad, maybe it's, I'm frustrated because I can't control this situation. Or I feel betrayed.
Betrayed feels very different from mad. Betrayed hurts differently.
Completely different neural signature. The source list distinguishing between anxiety, fear, worry, and nervousness. Those are 4 different flavors.
Yeah.
Anxiety might be a vague dread about the future. Fear is usually about a specific immediate threat. Worry is repetitive thought. Nervousness might be excitement mixed with apprehension.
And having to stop and figure out which one it is, that forces the prefrontal cortex to work harder.
Bingo. You're giving the CEO of your brain a complex puzzle to solve. Is this anxiety or is this actually excitement?
Yeah.
That cognitive effort pulls even more resources away from the emotional centers. It turns the volume down on the amygdala because you are concentrating on the definition.
It's like being a sommelier for your own misery. Yes, this has notes of betrayal with a finish of insecurity and a hint of oak.
Laugh. Ideally with a bit less cynicism, but yes, that precision gives you power. It makes the emotion manageable because it's defined. And when you define something, you draw a box around it. It stops being this infinite cloud of doom, becomes a specific thing in a box. You can handle a box. You can't handle a fog.
I love that, turning fog into a box. Okay, step 3. This one was interesting to me because it brings the body into it. Somatic connection.
This is vital. Emotions aren't just in our heads. They are physiological events. Grounding the emotion in the body stops it from becoming purely abstract thought.
Okay.
The formula is emotion plus physical symptom.
Give us some examples.
I feel anxious and I notice my chest is tight. I'm angry and I can feel tension in my jaw. I feel overwhelmed and my thoughts are racing. I feel sad and my stomach feels heavy.
Why does adding my chest is tight help?
Because it's undeniable truth. You can debate whether you should be anxious. You can argue with yourself about whether your anger is justified. You can't debate that your chest is tight.
That's a good point.
It grounds you in physical reality. It's what psychologists call interoception, the awareness of your internal bodily state. It helps you recognize that the emotion is a temporary physical state passing through you rather than your permanent identity.
Right.
It separates me from the feeling.
That seems like a key distinction. I am angry versus I feel tension.
Exactly. I am angry can feel like an identity. It claims the whole self. I have tension in my jaw is just a passing sensation. It's much less threatening to the brain. It reminds you that you are the container, not the contents.
So to recap the method, 1, name it simply, no because. 2, get specific with the vocabulary, be a sommelier. 3, connect it to where you feel it in your body.
That's the protocol.
Let's talk about application. When do we actually use this? The source outlines 3 specific scenarios that I think cover about 90% of our daily lives. The first one is scenario A, acute stress. We're talking the panic spike.
This is when the amygdala is slamming the red button. Maybe you just got a terrifying email from the IRS, or you're about to walk on stage, or someone cut you off in traffic and you're seeing red.
In that moment, logic is usually out the window. I'm not thinking about my prefrontal cortex. I'm thinking about survival.
Right. So you need a biological override. You don't have time for a journal entry. Don't have time to call a friend. The instruction here is to name it immediately.
Right then and there.
I'm having a panic response right now. I am feeling a surge of rage.
And what can we expect to happen? Because you said earlier it works instantly, but let's manage expectations. Does the feeling just vanish?
Instantly, in neurological terms, means the mechanism starts working immediately. The brake pedal is pressed. But the feeling doesn't vanish like a magic trick. The source says the intensity typically reduces within 60 to 90 seconds.
60 to 90 seconds. That's a manageable amount of time to wait.
It is. There's a famous neuroanatomist, Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor, who talks about the 90-second rule.
Okay.
When a chemical surge like adrenaline or cortisol is triggered in the brain, it takes about 90 seconds for those chemicals to flush through your system completely.
Wow.
If you stay angry for longer than 90 seconds, it's because you are choosing to rethink the thought that re-stimulates the circuit.
That's confronting. So if I'm mad for an hour, I'm actually hitting the replay button on the anger about 40 times?
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
You are redosing yourself. You're keeping the tap open. So in that acute moment, the goal of labeling is just to stop you from hitting the replay button.
Mm-hmm.
You say, I am angry. My hands are shaking. And you just wait. You ride the wave. You know it will crest and break in a minute and a half.
So you're buying yourself that 90-second window for the chemicals to clear.
Exactly. You are surfing the wave rather than drowning in it.
Okay, scenario B. This is the one I think I need the most. Background, emotional states. The mood.
This is for those days where nothing specific happened, but you just feel off. Maybe a low-level hum of anxiety or a cloud of irritability that colors everything.
The days where you snap at your partner for breathing too loud. Or you drop a spoon and feel like the world is ending.
Precisely. The irritability isn't about the breathing or the spoon. It's about the backlog of stress you haven't processed. For this, the source recommends voice journaling or regular check-ins.
Right.
You don't wait for a crisis. You do it preventatively.
How does that look in practice? Do I just talk to myself in the car?
Basically. Or use the voice memo app on your phone, which is a great tool.
Yeah.
A morning check-in. I'm starting today feeling tired and a bit anxious about that meeting, just putting it out there. A midday reset. I notice I'm feeling frustrated and scattered. An evening reflection. I'm ending today feeling accomplished but drained.
It's like taking the temperature of the room.
It is, and it prevents that backlog from building up. If you catch the frustration at noon and name it, you're less likely to explode at 6 p.m. It keeps the pressure valves open.
And the recommendation here is to actually use your voice right, not just write it down, because I journal, but writing can be slow.
Yes, writing is great, but the source makes a fascinating point about the speed advantage here. We can speak at about 150 words per minute. Most of us type on our phones at maybe 40 words per minute.
It's have a big difference in flow.
Huge. Speaking matches the speed of thought and emotion much better than writing. When you write, you tend to edit, you pause, you delete, you think, does that sound right? Mm-hmm. That engages the inner critic.
Yeah.
When you speak, especially into a voice memo that no one else will hear, it flows naturally. It's raw data. It bypasses the filter. It allows you to dump the cache much faster.
That's a good way to put it.
You can process a huge amount of emotional data in 3 minutes of speaking that would take 20 minutes to write.
I love that idea. It's faster, it's rawer, and it's more effective.
Yeah.
Scenario C is before difficult conversations.
This is a superpower for relationships and work. Before you walk into that performance review or that tough talk with a spouse, take 2 minutes alone, maybe in the car or the bathroom, and speak your emotions out loud.
I'm nervous about this conversation, but I'm also determined.
Or, I feel defensive and I want to stay open instead. I'm hurt and I need to express that calmly.
What does this achieve? Why not just say that to the person?
You might say it to the person eventually, but saying it to yourself first clears the fog. If you walk into a negotiation feeling defensive but you haven't acknowledged it, that defensiveness will drive the bus.
Right.
You'll interpret everything the other person says as an attack. If you name it beforehand, I feel defensive, you've put the prefrontal cortex in charge.
Yeah.
You can notice the defensiveness arising during the meeting and say, there is that feeling I named, rather than just reacting to it.
It gives you that split-second gap between stimulus and response.
Which is where all your freedom lies. It prevents you from saying things you can't take back. It allows you to respond rather than react.
Okay, we have the method. We have the scenarios. But there is an advanced technique mentioned in the source that takes this to the next level. It combines affect labeling with self-compassion. Now, self-compassion can sound a bit soft to some people. Why is this included?
It's not soft, it's strategic. This is for when you want to build resilience, not just regulation. It's a simple template. I feel wotion, emotion, and validation.
Give us the formula in action.
I feel anxious, and that's understandable given the circumstances. I'm feeling overwhelmed, and it's okay to feel this way. This is disappointment, and I can be kind to myself while feeling it.
Why is the "and that's understandable" part so important?
Because of what Buddhists call the second arrow.
Explain that. That's a great visual.
The first arrow is the pain itself, the anxiety, the anger, the rejection. That's inevitable. Life shoots that arrow at you. The second arrow is our judgment of the pain. We feel anxious, and then we feel ashamed that we are anxious. Or we feel angry, and then we judge ourselves for being angry.
Oh, yeah.
We think, I shouldn't be feeling this, I'm weak, everyone else is handling this better than me. That secondary emotion, that shame or judgment, creates a whole new layer of stress.
So we are attacking ourselves for being under attack.
Exactly. And the amygdala sees that self-attack as another threat. So it stays on. It thinks, oh no, even I am attacking me.
Wow.
Adding self-compassion removes the second arrow. It validates the experience. It tells the amygdala, you aren't under attack for feeling this. You are safe. This is a normal human reaction. That deepens the calm significantly.
I feel overwhelmed, and it's okay to feel this way. It sounds so simple, but I can feel my shoulders drop just saying it. It stops the internal fight.
It creates safety. And a brain that feels safe is a brain that can think clearly. You cannot problem solve when you are busy beating yourself up.
So let's bring this all home. We've covered a lot of ground, from the fMRI machines at UCLA to the specific grammar of talking to yourself in your car. What is the main takeaway for the listener who is thinking, okay, I want to try this?
The bottom line is this. Your amygdala, your fear center, responds to unnamed emotions with heightened reactivity. Unknown threats are the scariest threats. Evolutionarily, a rustle in the bushes that you can't see is more terrifying than the lion you can see, because you can't plan for the unseen.
That makes perfect sense.
When you refuse to name a feeling, your brain treats it as a predator in the bushes. It keeps the alarm ringing because it can't see what's out there.
And the fix is to turn on the light.
By speaking the emotion aloud, you shift the processing to the prefrontal cortex. You turn a predator into a piece of data. You reduce the biological intensity by up to 50%.
Right.
It isn't about thinking positive or suppressing reality. It's about acknowledging reality with such precision that your brain can finally stop panicking about it.
And you don't need a degree, you don't need a prescription, and you don't need a therapist sitting in the room. You just need your voice.
Just the willingness to speak the truth of how you feel, out loud, right now.
I want to leave the listener with a thought that struck me while we were discussing the speed of speech. We talked about how we can speak at 150 words per minute, which is so much faster than we can type or write. It makes me wonder, if we have this incredible high-speed tool for processing emotion built right into our throats, and we choose to keep our mouth shut, how much emotional backlog are we carrying around simply because we refuse to open them?
That is a heavy question. We might be drowning in data we could have processed months ago if we just said it out loud. We carry the weight of the unspoken.
Something to mull over. Try it today. The next time you feel that tightness in your chest, don't ignore it. Don't scroll, open your mouth and name it. You might be surprised at how quickly the volume turns down.
It's worth a shot.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one.